I want to get out of you the trends that will shift the course of events.
If we start using terms like technologies, God, or anything religious or esoteric, then I'd put it this way. Right now, there's a confrontation between trends that gives the inertia of knowledge and the inner desire for harmony of the one who created all this. That means the old will keep functioning in destruction of anything that brings something new because it wants to live within the trends it has. But it's not given space there anymore because from the very start, it was born dead. It's like making a couch with no joy, cooking a meal with no desire, going to work without any spark. Yes, all that we've created exists, but it's dead on the inside. You know, it's like they seem like people, but they're not really people. There's no love in them. They're doing things because they have to feed their families, because they have to pay taxes, fill up the car, cover the electricity bill, because they're afraid they'll run out of money. And those who already have money, they are afraid they'll lose it. Those who have power, they are afraid of losing it too. So we end up in this place where on one hand, we've got knowledge, skills, and actual things, we've accomplished something. But on the other hand, those very things are now limiting us and holding us back from moving forward. The root of that limitation, it wasn't born in love, and it is up to us to fill it with love. Say there's someone who, let's put it gently, behaves poorly. We imagine him as a child. And in our mind, we give him the amount of love he needs, not through words, but through real sensation, through what we feel emotionally and energetically. Because saying love is like saying sweet. Just because you say that word, it doesn't mean your mouth fills with sweetness. But if you've actually lived through a real sensual experience, then you can change something. If you haven't, all you can do is state the facts or build a tractor out of papier-mâché. It might look like a tractor, but it won't function. So here we are in a papier-mâché world. And no matter how hard we work, we still age, get sick, and die. Our goal is to step into a new state. And speaking of futurology, what we've built is trying to hang on like a dead horse because we haven't offered any real alternative. The one who created all this, and I'm saying this with a bit of humor, got a bit sick of it and decided to bring about change. So now the age of Aquarius has arrived. The time of shifting trends has come, but those still stuck in the old paradigm say things like, now we've entered the 4th dimension, next comes the 5th, then the 6th.
Some people are already at their 10th.
Yeah, like I always say, we're measuring it in elephants, parrots, and boas.
But when we talk about dimensions, we're actually talking about time and space.
I'd put it this way. It's all about agreements. Right now, these agreements are going to be tested by one thing, your state. And the main question remains, is there love in it? So, what is love? Love is harmony between all the factors, events, situations, and trends that are interacting with one another. And each of those elements will receive its own kind of profit and a result, a developmental effect. And at the same time, they will all be harmonizing with each other, creating space for growth and interaction for everyone else involved in the process. That's how we'll naturally create a world of harmony. Because today, everything works more like this. The good guys got together and wiped out all the bad guys. Or we have to first kill the first grade in us to move to the second. Then we kill second grade to reach third because what helped us today will get in our way tomorrow. And since we're living in a dual world, we always have to destroy what we, unfortunately, weren't able to embrace with love. As long as we stay in this duality, we'll keep degrading. But once we stop measuring everything only by its quality and start measuring it by whether it's high quality and created with love, everything will change. Because when something is truly done with love, that means everyone involved gains something from it. Joy, growth, fulfillment, and it was ecological for them and for everyone around them. That's when we'll step into new trends.
Simply put, there's no point waiting around for some kind of manna from heaven, a process accelerator, a switch where I used to be one way and then bam, I relaxed, fell in love with the whole world, harmonized everything around me. That's not something to count on. We keep working, doing the inner work, each at our own speed, with our own curiosity about life, with our own abilities, and we keep moving in that direction. Or do you think something might still show up? Some kind of so-called ability?
The manna from heaven has already arrived, But here's the thing. When someone places a knife on the table in front of you and you've spent your whole life using only a fork and a spoon, and now you have a piece of bread and they offer you the chance to cut it, people who live in a dual world will instinctively reach for the tool they already know. They'll try to cut it with a fork or a spoon, and when you offer them the knife, which is something new, they'll most likely just leave it there on the table. Why? Because they're conservative. Their neural pathways are wired to the old model, to the words should, must. I was taught this way. I've seen it firsthand when American doctors sometimes try to do something differently than they were taught because the old way kept leading to death. And when one of them succeeds, when a patient not only survives but fully recovers, another doctor finds out he broke the traditional medical protocol taught in the universities for decades and files a complaint against him. Even though the patient got better, he ends up being punished. Not for the result, but for not following the rules of a dead horse. And this kind of thing happens everywhere. Or a girl comes to me for a consultation and she says, my guru doesn't accept these kinds of thoughts, so I won't listen to you. I won't use the knife because he said our fork is sacred. And unfortunately, if people don't start making themselves their own authority, if they don't stop and feel, is there love in this? They'll stay stuck like fanatics, whether religious, political, or any other kind of patriots. When there's no love but spirituality and lawfulness, only the following principle will work. The good people gather together to wipe out all the bad ones.
Do you think there are any signs right now that this evolution you're talking about might start speeding up? That people are beginning to open up more, and that maybe some new trends are starting to show up? I mean, yeah, there are a lot of trends popping up, eco this, eco that, and so on, but even those, well, they're kind of mad too, right?
We can't just instantly jump into new trends. It's like, imagine your physical body is the way it is now, and suddenly it becomes transparent and light as air. You'd say, no guys, I don't know about this whole air body thing, but really, that's just the knife I was talking about. And people still go, no, we're fine like that, but only if we can use a fork or a spoon. That's why we'll have to transition slowly. The thing is, that slow transition is already engraved in our programming. And if we can't keep up with the educational process that's going to be offered to us, then reincarnation will be offered instead.
All right, thank you. In your view, how many possible trajectories of reality, how many probability-based versions of how things could unfold actually exist today that might take the leading role? And let me ask a few things at once. Is there one of these tendencies that seems to be dominant? Is there a main direction emerging from all this?
The number of probable realities that exist, no matter how much hot air we blow, insisting that this is the one and only true reality we live in, that's all just wishful thinking. It's like someone living deep in their own forest, thinking that nothing exists beyond it.
All right, the one we are self-aware in.
I'll put it this way. There are trillions of probable realities. They already exist, and they're all deeply interconnected by similarity. And when a particular similarity gets activated, it begins to amplify. The main principle is this: to collapse all of those trillions of probable realities into one where harmony exists. Now, I'll speak from my own experience, how I see it, how I feel it. That creator, he's not interested in investing $1 or €1 or one Bitcoin into each separate reality. What he wants is to merge them all into one. And in that single unified reality, every person contains trillions, even sextillions of dollars or euros that they can use effectively and consciously for themselves. I mean, if we're speaking in financial terms. So as of today, we're not in the most favorable conditions because there are certain probable realities that have already become far more successful than the one we're living in right now. And because their shares are more valuable to the creator, they'll begin to dictate their trends and give us ultimatums while developing. And if we go along with those ultimatums, we'll have a beautiful and remarkable future. But if we choose to ignore them, then let's say we'll be excluded from the process of harmonization and standardization, the process of love-based integration, where everything and everyone can exist as one whole.
Would you be able to describe a model, maybe the one that's closest to us, or just the most effective for us in general? Because right now, everyone's talking about digitization, globalism, economic crisis, full-on robotization, digital currencies, all of that. This trend they keep pushing is in every movie, every book, on every TV screen. It's everywhere.
Well, I'd put it like this. There's such a thing as dead information. And we simply need to understand that information is dead. Why is it dead? Because it was created without love and not in love. It was spoken as pure fact, just dry data, without any emotional connection, without care, without presence. And now there's just a huge amount of it. But here's the thing, information wants to live, and it lives in our attention. That's why so much effort goes into grasping our attention, because once our attention is captured, that dead information begins to kill us along with itself. Information wants to survive. And to survive, it has to match what it is. So since it's dead, it needs us to become dead too. That's why any belief systems and egregores have the same underlying tendency. They pull us toward the grave. So when we look at today's science, it's dead. Sorry. But today's religion is dead. Today's esotericism, also dead. Even numerology, as it is now, dead. It all serves the world of the dead. And that's why there's magic out there that uses energy carriers to create external results without love. And through that, we end up slowly killing off our physical bodies. That's it. So today our task is to shift into love. And once we shift into love, we begin to generate the new world trends. Then, in connection with those probable realities that have already made progress, we start to collapse into them and receive results that are truly worthy.
What tools do people need most right now?
I'd put it this way. It's actually easier to start with the tools we need to let go of. Because the moment I start talking about tools, people will go straight back to thinking about the fork and the spoon, or worse, trying to marry the two and create a spork. Our goal is to create the conditions for a new trend. And that trend will unfold like this. We'll have to completely reassess our values. For example, the deadest of the dead are numbers. Everything we describe is done through numbers. Even computer technologies are all based on dead numbers. But if we talk about letters and sounds, those are alive. And the moment we rebuild our science, as you already mentioned, shifting from numbers to letters, from digital data to actual sound and vibration that carry meaning, not just technical specifications, that's when we'll create the conditions to move with giant strides toward love, health, longevity, efficiency, and the state of happiness. That's why when we teach children to memorize information, it limits them. And since that information was given without love, then it will take away their life force and health. And then, in order to survive, that child will need to take energy, life, or health from others, from those who either don't live in that information or who are weaker in it. So the conclusion is this: we're facing a shift in values and paradigms. I once met a woman in a restaurant who had certain abilities. She would walk up to someone's table and say, "Your name is this, your age is that, your wife's name is such and such, your children's names are this and that, you work here, and your salary is this much." It was phenomenal. I mean, she would read people like a book, where they were born, their exact birth dates, and everyone around her was stunned. But when someone asked her, "Do I have an illness?" or "Why don't I have money?" or "What's wrong with my relationships?" her answers suddenly became very generic. "Well, you've probably sinned. You've got bad karma. Go light a candle at church." In other words, she had a very narrow range of abilities, things she had allowed herself to see. Meanwhile, from my own experience, whether I'm working with physicists, doctors, or people who deal with blast furnaces, when we're talking about their world, I receive information through myself that, just a second earlier, I didn't know. And if we create the right conditions to receive that information, removing the belief that we can't access it, then it comes. Like Jesus said, "Why are you surprised? If you tell this mountain to emerge in the sea, so be it." And here is the key: if you do not doubt. And when people ask Saint Seraphim of Sarov, "How can you possibly know about people's lives, their situations, their health, their thoughts, their feelings, the causes of their illnesses?" he replied, "I don't know anything. I simply ask the question, make space for silence, and the first thought that comes, I accept it as coming from God." And it always works. But I always get it wrong when I try to rely on my own thinking.